Friends, gather around and let's talk about something truly exciting. Taxes. Just kidding. But buckle up, buttercups, because the IRS just got way more interesting, or should I say, less staffed. That's right, in the middle of tax season, over 6,000 IRS employees got pink slips. These cuts primarily targeted probationary employees, the newbies still wet behind the ears, learning the ropes of how to best serve us. This all went down in February 2025 thanks to the Trump administration's insatiable appetite for shrinking the government. So, there you have it. Thousands of IRS workers shown the door right when we need them most. Now you might be thinking, John, surely there's a good reason for these cuts. And you'd be right to ask. The administration, those champions of fiscal responsibility, claim it's all about saving money. They argue that the IRS is bloated, inefficient, and frankly just has too many darn employees. Kevin Hassett, the director of the National Economic Council, piped up to defend the move. He boldly declared that over 100,000 tax collectors are just lounging around, sipping margaritas and watching reruns of The Apprentice. But let's be honest, folks, this isn't about efficiency. It's about gutting a crucial government agency under the guise of fiscal responsibility. So what happens when you decide to perform open-heart surgery on the IRS during the busiest time of the year? Well, it's not pretty. Imagine the chaos of trying to get your taxes sorted out when the very institution meant to help you is in disarray. Well, folks, imagine a world where calling the IRS for help is about as effective as trying to have a rational conversation with a seagull on bath salts. The frustration levels are through the roof, and taxpayers are left in the lurch. But wait, there's more. The ripple effects of this chaos extend far beyond just long hold times and unanswered questions. Remember those wealthy tax cheats? The ones who hide their money in offshore accounts? They're having a field day. Well, they're throwing a party right now because with fewer IRS agents on the case, they're about as likely to get audited as a unicorn is to win the Kentucky Derby. It's a celebration of evasion. This means less tax revenue collected, which in turn means less money for things like roads, schools, and funding the government. The impact on public services is severe. And here's the real kicker: experts predict that for every dollar saved in salary cuts, the government will lose $12 in uncollected taxes. It's a lose-lose situation for everyone except the tax cheats. A starved agency historical context and the Inflation Reduction Act. Now let's take a stroll down memory lane, shall we? Imagine a time when the IRS was a bustling hub of activity, a cornerstone of American bureaucracy. Back before the Inflation Reduction Act rode in like a knight in shining armor, the IRS was about as well funded as a high school production of Cats. The agency struggled to keep up with the demands of a growing nation. For over a decade, it was starved of resources, neglected and left to wither like a houseplant owned by a teenager. The lack of funding led to outdated technology and insufficient staffing. This chronic underfunding meant that customer service was about as pleasant as a colonoscopy performed by a rabid badger. Taxpayers were left in the lurch, unable to get the help they needed. In fact, 90% of calls went unanswered, leaving taxpayers more frustrated than a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. The inefficiency was palpable, affecting millions. Then, in 2022, a beacon of hope emerged, the Inflation Reduction Act, allocating $80 billion over 10 years to modernize the IRS and hire more staff. This monumental investment aimed to transform the agency into a modern, efficient entity. A penny-wise, pound-foolish gamble, expert opinions and opposition. Now you might be thinking, John, surely someone is speaking out against this madness. And you'd be right. Government watchdogs are waving their arms like inflatable tube men at a used car dealership, warning that these cuts will cripple efforts to catch wealthy tax dodgers. Susan Long, a professor at Syracuse University, put it best when she said these cuts are a gift to wealthy tax cheats. She argues that reducing the IRS workforce will only embolden those who already exploit the system, making it easier for them to evade taxes. And the unions, those brave souls who fight for workers' rights, are hopping mad. They see this as an attack not just on the IRS, but on the integrity of the entire tax system. Doreen Greenwald, the president of the National Treasury Employees Union, is leading the charge, demanding a halt to these job cuts. She emphasizes that these cuts will not only affect the employees, but also the efficiency of tax collection. But the administration, those masters of spin, are sticking to their guns. They insist that the cuts are necessary and that the IRS can function just as well with fewer resources. They claim that everything is fine, the IRS is overstaffed, and that we should all just calm down and go back to filling out our tax forms. They argue that the cuts will streamline operations and reduce unnecessary spending. So there you have it, folks. The IRS, already hanging on by a thread, is now being systematically dismantled. The consequences of this could be dire, leading to a significant loss in revenue and an increase in tax evasion. It's a short-sighted, reckless move that will cost us all in the long run. The economic impact could be severe, affecting public services and increasing the burden on honest taxpayers.